Hey everybody, welcome back to Old Times Talk. I'm your host Landon and I'm excited to have a special guest today. It's none other than Phil, also known as Grandpa Wheeler. So thanks Grandpa for being on the podcast today.
Glad to be here.
So how this works is I'm just going to ask questions and really everybody's here just to listen to you. So anything you got. So first off, if you want to kind of introduce who you are, where you grew up.
My name is Phil Wheeler, middle name Melvin. I got my middle name from my dad. My dad's name was James Melvin, and I was born out in Taylor, which is a little town west of Ogden. I was born at home. I wasn't born in the hospital. I came on the 26th of February. It was a snowstorm, and they called the doctor. The doctor got lost, so I was born before the doctor got there.
How many siblings came before you?
I had two brothers before me, and one brother after me, and two sisters after me.
How would you say your dynamic with your siblings was growing up?
We got along good. We grew up on a small farm, and so we all had to do a certain amount of work in that there. We had to get up early in the morning in that there. We had to milk cows, and we never had milkers. The milkers was our hands. So we milked cows, fed chickens, had pigs, had rabbits, chickens, so forth.
Do you miss that kind of work?
Not really.
What was probably your favorite task growing up?
Driving the tractor. Right at first in that there, although we never had a tractor, we just had horses. And had to drive the horses and mowing the hay and raking the hay and so forth. And then we got a little John Deere tractor and that helped out a lot.
What kind of things did you use the tractor for? Just to haul things from one place to the other, or did you use it to crop?
We used it for crops. We used for plowing and harrowing and pulling the wagons and whatever we needed for. Once we got the tractor, why, we still had a couple of horses in that there, but we didn't use them very much.
What were your parents like growing up?
They were real nice. My dad was about 20 years older than my mother. My dad grew up in Preston, Idaho, and my mother grew up out next to Taylor in West Weber. And so they was quite a ways apart from each other, but they happened to meet in that there, and they got married, and so we stayed out there on the small farm.
What would you say is your fondest memory of your mom and dad?
My mother always liked to cook a lot, had a big garden, and she always was kind and gentle and so forth. My dad was a World War I veteran, and so he was disabled. And later in life, he had a operation that he had the colon cancer, and so he had a bag on his side and that there that he had to wear all the time, and that kind of upset him and that there, and he couldn't do too much because every time he tried to lift a lot, he ruptured it and that there, and he did that a couple of times, and so he couldn't do enough, but he taught us how to work, and we worked for not only our own, but we worked for the neighbors too. I remember doing a lot of thinning of beets and so forth, and we were paid $1 an hour if we worked hard, and if we didn't work hard, we didn't get hardly anything. And we helped people in their hay and whatever else crops that they needed done.
What was probably your favorite meal that your mom cooked growing up?
Um, Probably we raised chickens and so forth, so we had a lot of chickens, and I like chicken, and so it was chicken and the stuff out of the garden and that there that she made with it.
Always fresh?
Yeah, always fresh.
How would you say your parents raising you up, how do you feel like that influenced how you raised your family later on?
I think the important part was the importance of working and being honest and that there. I think that was probably the main things.
And kind of on the reverse end, what were your grandparents like?
My grandparents, ones that lived in West Weber, were real good. He was a bishop out there in West Weber for something like 26 years. And so it was a long time that he was there and that. But my grandparents on my father's side, I never did meet them. They had passed away before I was born.
They would have been born in the early 1800s, right?
Yeah. Well,
Maybe
around there.
Is there a distinct memory you have growing up, like a playground or like an amusement park or anything that you did kind of growing up that you always looked forward to?
We never had any playgrounds out in Taylor. We did have a baseball park next to the church, and we would go there on Saturday afternoon and play baseball. But we didn't have any playgrounds really to go to.
So you got pretty good at hitting the ball.
Well, once in a while. Let me tell you one other thing we had to do. We had to irrigate, and we had it for 20 hours. And so during the daytime, we would irrigate the row crop we had. We grew about an acre of tomatoes, and then we had grain and hay, and we'd water the tomatoes during the day, and then at nighttime we'd put on the grain and hay, and turn the water in, and my dad would say how long it's going to take to get down there, and we estimated it, and he'd wake us up and have to go out and check and see where it was at, and if it was done, why we changed to another section, and if it wasn't, well, we would say, well, we got another hour to wait, and so we had to do that quite often, and a lot depended on how much irrigation water we got, because we just got whatever they sent, and sometimes the stream was good, and other times it wasn't very good. So sometimes it took 6 hours to do a piece, and another time it'd take 3 hours.
What kind of made you not wanting to do farming once you got older?
I couldn't see making a living on the farm. We were very limited in the amount of money my dad got and that there, and so I couldn't see making a living there, so that's the reason I didn't go into farm work.
Do you ever look back and wish you did?
No.
Do you ever wish you ever had cows or chickens though?
Oh yeah, there's times in that there I wish it had animals and that there, particularly chickens or rabbits and so forth. So every year we'd get 100 baby chickens, and they were mixed in that there, so we'd raise them up and that there, and we kept the hens and that there for laying eggs, and the roosters, we'd get them up and that there and get them big enough and that there, and we'd kill them and have them for food.
So you never really got attached to the animal.
Not that attached. I had to kill chickens a lot, and rabbits, pigs, a calf once in a while, a steer.
Did your kids ever get to go and visit the farm? Was the farm still around after you had kids?
After we got married and had kids, Mom and Dad sold the farm and that there, and moved up into Ogden. We drove by the farm, and so they know where it's at, but that's all.
Do you feel like that farm life growing up shaped you into who you are today?
Well, I don't know if it shaped me into what I am today, but it helped me work and that there, so I could support our family.
So moving forward, like I said earlier, what would you say is your fondest memory with Grandma?
Oh, one of the fondest memory times that we had is after I came home from the mission and that there, that she was still here and that there, and it wasn't very long after we got home that I got home from a mission that we got married. And so that's one of the fond memories and that there, that I'm glad that she was still here and available.
Where did you serve your mission?
In southern Australia. That covered the whole southern part of Australia. Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne, and Tasmania were all one mission. When I served in Melbourne and Adelaide.
What was probably one of your craziest experiences you had out there?
It was in Adelaide, up in the mountain area, and it snowed there, and very seldom does Australia ever get any snow. And we were riding our bikes and that there, and we about crashed a few times.
Did you pack a lot of warm clothes going to Australia?
No. About froze to death a couple times.
Was your family able to support you on your mission, or did you support yourself financially?
When I was called and that there and asked if I wanted to go on a mission, I said to the bishop, I says, my parents can't support me on a mission. And he says, if we figure out a way to support you, will you go? And says, oh, let me think about it. And Sharon was with me at the time that the bishop asked me and that there, and she said, you need to seriously consider going. And so at that time, they had in our stake, they had a 70s quorum. And my parents supported me half, and the 70s and that there supported the other half.
What would you say is the greatest life lesson you learned on your mission?
The importance of studying the scriptures, the importance of loving everybody, and the importance of everybody's a child of God, and everybody has their free agency. And we ran into a few people that were pretty hostile and that there, and then we had some families that were very good. So it was good.
Would you trade your mission experience for anything in the world?
No.
So tell us a little bit about like your early life of being married. What was kind of early marriage like for you?
We got married and that there, and we lived in a little apartment on Adams Avenue in Ogden. And I think it was, 6 weeks after we got married, that I had to leave because I was joined the Air Force Reserve, because either I joined the reserve or I was going to get drafted into the Army. So I joined the Air Force Reserve and went to Lackland Air Force Base in Texas. That was kind of tough, leaving that soon after we were married.
What temple did you get married in?
Salt Lake.
And how many years have you been married for?
A lot. 63?
64 in January.
64 in January.
What would you say is one of the biggest lessons you've learned during that many years of marriage?
Probably one of the best things that I've learned in that there is to be patient and don't let little things bother you. If it doesn't really matter, forget about it.
Is there something, as you grow with someone, you learn to love things more about them, or you learn to love new things about them? What's something over those 64 years that you've come to love about Grandma?
How much she's forgiving and how much she expresses her love for me.
What is one of the coolest pieces of technology that's been created during your lifetime?
I think one of the ones, and that there is the cell phones, and that there, I grew up in that there where we didn't have a phone in our house, and then when we got one, it was on a party line, so you had to have 3 or 4 others on the line with you, and you had no idea if they were listening to you or you were listening to them, and that there. And so I think one of the cell phones is one of the big things.
Would you say that growing up, would you have ever dreamed of smartphones the way they are?
Had no idea. No, there's so much technology now. I don't even know half of it.
Back in your day, it was probably unheard of. Like you probably wouldn't have even think to have a picture of somebody
No.
in the palm of your hand. How did you communicate with others that were long distances from you?
Mainly just wrote a letter. Very seldom in that there we didn't, like I said, we didn't call very often. So if you wanted to communicate, you had to write a letter.
Did you have a good penmanship?
I don't know if I had good penmanship or not.
What was your first car that you had growing up?
It was a Chev. I don't remember the year it was. 57, something like that.
Were you allowed to drive it?
Yeah.
Did you ever have a family car that mom and dad were like, no one touches the car?
No, we had a family car, but with all of us in the family and that, we didn't drive it very much. They drove it. Once in a while they'd let us drive it if they were with us, but not very seldom alone.
What would you say growing up was a time that you got into a little bit of trouble, whether it was with friends or with your siblings?
I don't remember really being in serious trouble any time with them. I remember one time that got in a little bit of trouble when we went outside and that there, and my brother says, "You can't throw this rock over the house." And I says, "I bet I can." And I picked up a rock and threw it, and it went right through the front window. Another time in that there, we had cows that came up a aisle way up to a well so they get water, and one was coming up and that there, and I picked up a rock and that there and threw it, hit it right between the eyes, and it fell down flat. I thought I killed it. A few minutes later, it shook around a bit and got up. I thought I was going to be in a lot of trouble for that.
Did you have a favorite subject in school growing up?
No, I didn't have a favorite subject. I barely made it through school. I started when I was in high school. I was working in the morning. There was a person that had a big truck. They hauled milk, and the milk was hauled in a 10-gallon cans. And so I was hired in that there to go with them around to pick up milk from the various farmers in the 10-gallon cans. And so I got up early in the morning after milked the cows and went there. And then there was the dairy up on 12th and Wall. It was a Weber Central Dairy, I think it was. And they dropped me off there, and then I'd walk from there to the high school, which is up on Washington and 12th Street. So where the high school was at. And so we did that for the last year of my school, so forth.
Did any of your siblings do that with you?
No, I was the only one that done that.
After you got married, moved out from the farm and whatnot, were you still pretty close with your siblings?
Yeah, I think it was fairly close. The siblings were living around here except for one. The one youngest daughter and that moved to Georgia, so I didn't see her very often, but the rest of them were lived around here.
Did you do, back before COVID, we did family gatherings every other week. Did you meet with your family as often as we do?
No, we didn't meet very often. Maybe a couple of times a year.
Was that something you wanted to implement once you started having grandkids?
Well, I wanted to have the kids feel available to come to my house and that there, and to feel welcome and that there anytime they came. So that's the reason we did it. In fact, when the family started getting big enough and that there, why we decided to add this room onto their house so we'd have a little bit more room for our family. Because if we didn't have this room on, we wouldn't have had room and we wouldn't have been able to have a family over.
Even now, it's getting a little crammed these days.
Yeah.
Can you kind of, I know you probably don't know the exact number, but maybe tell everybody how many kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids you got in the family?
We got 7 children, 5 boys and 2 girls. And we got 27 grandkids. And we got, 18 great-grandkids. So it's growing.
Hopefully no one gets upset with the answer, but would you rather be a grandfather or a father again if you were to restart?
Grandfather.
Why is that?
It isn't easy to be a father. And sometimes your kids don't listen to you. They have their agency and you don't agree with them, but that's it. But being a grandfather, you just have to be there and love them and encourage them to do the right thing. And so it's more fun to be a grandfather.
I have lots of memories going with you and Grandma on various vacations. What would you say is your favorite vacation that you've done with either a specific family or just with Grandma?
Going up to Lava was probably with the family and that there was probably the funnest. And that there, Grandma and I, we've been on several cruises and that there, and they've been fun. But I never went on a vacation when I was growing up. When people say, what's your favorite vacation when you grew up? I didn't have one, because we never went on vacation. My parents didn't. In fact, I don't think I left. Well, I did. I left the state of Utah to go up to Preston, Idaho, and that's the furthest away that we went.
Do you have a favorite country that you visited now?
I don't know if there's a favorite country that I visited.
I know the United States is pretty great, so it's kind of hard to top it.
Yeah, we visited several countries. We've been on cruises to Mexico and the Caribbean, and been over to England, and what other countries over there that we visited?
Germany and France, Switzerland.
Yeah, Germany, France, and Switzerland when we went over there. But here is always the best.
Did you have any crazy stories or anything just out of the ordinary that happened when you were in any of those countries?
Well, we was over in Germany and that they told us we didn't need to change money in that there, and so we didn't, and we got over there and a lot of stuff you wanted to buy, you couldn't buy it because you didn't have their money. And you went to the bank and that there, and you had to have a certain credit card in order to get the money to exchange, and so forth. So it was kind of that. In fact, I was in a bus going over, and we stopped at a rest stop, and Sharon had to go to the restroom, and the restrooms you had to pay money to use them, and we didn't have any money, and so she had to borrow money from somebody to go use the restroom.
I hate when that happens. What would you say is one of the most shocking experiences or one of the most scariest experiences you've had in this life?
Well, I guess one of the scariest in that there is when my blood pressure was so high in that there that they wouldn't let me go home, so they sent me to the hospital, and the doctor says, "Do you want to live or die?" And I says, "I want to live." So he says, "Okay, then we'll install a pacemaker." So I guess that was one of the scariest things, is if I hadn't said, yeah, I wanted to live, why they wouldn't have put a pacemaker in and I wouldn't have been here.
It's kind of scary having to basically choose, do you want to live or die? Not many people get that choice.
Yeah.
Are you feeling better now?
Yeah.
Well, before we finish, what would you say is some advice that you would give to people? Something you've learned in this life that you feel like is something important that everyone should know in the world?
I think they need to know that we have a Savior. His name is Jesus Christ. We have a Father in heaven. And they give us our choices. And it's up to us whether we want what we want to do. If we want to keep the commandments and live good, we are blessed. If we don't, we suffer the consequences. And so I think one of the biggest things is to realize that we have that choice. And it will be better if we want to be happy throughout this life and the next life, we better make the right choices.
Well, thank you for being on the podcast today. I appreciate you taking the time to do this with me and for supporting me in it.
Thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in to Old Times Talk. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss when wisdom drops. If you or someone you know would like to be interviewed on this podcast, head to oldtimestalk.com and click on the referral tab. And remember, keep the old stories alive. But with that, I'm Landon, and this is Old Times Talk.
Thank you.